There comes a moment in every human life when the soul whispers a truth so simple, so liberating, that the ego trembles at its power. You were not born to chase, to cling, or to beg for love. You were born whole. You were born connected to the infinite source of all creation. And when you remember this, when you truly remember this, something inside you softens. The tight grip loosens. The fear begins to dissolve. And you realize that letting them go is not a loss. It is a return to yourself. So many of us have built our identities around who stays and who leaves. We measure our worth by the presence of another. We tell ourselves stories. If they choose me, I matter. If they stay, I am lovable. If they leave, I am not enough. But who taught you that your value is dependent on another soul's journey? Who whispered that lie into your consciousness? That was not the voice of your higher self. That was the voice of the ego, the part of you that believes you are separate, small, incomplete. Imagine for a moment that you are like the sky, the vast, infinite sky. People are like clouds. They drift in, they drift out. Some are dark and stormy. Some are light and luminous. Some stay for years, others pass in moments. But none of them define the sky. The sky does not cling to a cloud and say, please don't go, I am nothing without you. The sky remains expansive, open, untouched in its essence. You are the sky. When someone leaves your life, it is not the sky that is damaged. It is only a cloud that has moved on. And yet the ego screams, hold on! Without this cloud you will be empty. But the soul knows better. The soul knows it has never been empty. It knows it is connected to the infinite ocean of love that birthed it. Let them go. Let them go, not because you are bitter, not because you are resentful, but because you trust the deeper intelligence of life. The same intelligence that moves the tides, that opens the flowers in spring, that spins the planets in perfect harmony. This intelligence is guiding every soul, including the ones who walk away from you. You cannot hold a butterfly by crushing it in your fist. Love cannot survive under control. And happiness cannot be built on the fear of abandonment. The ego says, if I am alone, I am unworthy. The soul says, when I am alone, I remember who I truly am. To be alone is not to be lonely. Loneliness is the cry of the ego that has forgotten its source. Aloneness is the sacred space where you rediscover it. There is a profound difference when you learn to sit quietly with yourself without distraction, without noise, without reaching for someone to fill the silence. You begin to hear the gentle hum of your own being. You begin to feel the presence that has always been there, the same presence you felt as a child when you stared at the stars and wondered at the mystery of existence. That presence is you, not the roles you play, not the relationships you accumulate, not the labels you wear. You are the awareness behind all of it. And awareness does not need validation. Why do we cling so tightly? Because the ego believes love is scarce. It believes there is a limited supply, and if this person leaves, there may not be another. But love is not a commodity. It is not something another person gives you. Love is what you are when you are aligned with your source. An orange squeeze will release whatever is inside of it. If anger comes out when life squeezes you, that anger was already within you. If love comes out, that love was already there. When someone leaves and despair pours from your heart, it is not because they took your happiness. It is because you had placed your happiness outside of yourself. This is not a judgment. It is an awakening. You see, the world has taught you to seek externally, to chase approval, to collect relationships like trophies. But the deepest spiritual truth is this: you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. When you are grounded in your own wholeness, when you are happy alone, you become magnetic not because you need someone, but because you radiate completeness. Let them go. Let them walk their path. Bless them in your heart. Release the story that says their departure diminishes you. You cannot lose what is meant for your soul's evolution. And what leaves was never yours to possess. It was yours to experience. Every relationship is a teacher. Some teach you joy, some teach you patience, some teach you boundaries, and some teach you the most sacred lesson of all, how to stand on your own spiritual feet. The ego fears standing alone because it confuses solitude with abandonment, but solitude is where the mystics go to meet God. Solitude is where the artist finds inspiration. Solitude is where the wounded heart heals itself. When you learn to be happy alone, you become dangerous to the ego-driven world. Because a person who is happy alone cannot be manipulated. They cannot be controlled by the threat of rejection. They cannot be coerced into shrinking themselves just to keep someone close. They love freely, and freedom is the highest vibration of love. Ask yourself gently, who would I be if I stopped chasing? Who would I become if I stopped trying to convince someone of my worth? What dreams would awaken inside me if I redirected all that energy inward? There is a reservoir of untapped power within you. But as long as you are pouring your life force into holding on to someone who is meant to go, you cannot access it. Let them go so you can meet yourself. The ego thrives on drama. It replays conversations. It imagines alternate endings. It seeks closure through explanation. But the soul does not need closure. The soul understands that every ending is simply a transition in form. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change shape. The love you shared does not disappear. It transforms. It becomes wisdom. It becomes strength. It becomes compassion. And sometimes it becomes the courage to say, I deserve peace. There are no justified resentments. Every resentment is a poison you swallow, hoping another will suffer. When someone leaves and you hold on to anger, you remain energetically entangled. True freedom comes not from holding on tighter, but from releasing with grace. Forgiveness is not condoning. It is freeing yourself from the chains of attachment. Say quietly within your heart, I release you. I release myself. I choose peace over possession. Feel the shift when you say it. Feel the lightness. Happiness alone is not a consolation prize. It is the foundation of spiritual maturity. It is the recognition that you are not half of a whole waiting to be completed. You are a whole being inviting another whole being to share the journey. When two people who are happy alone come together, they do not cling, they expand. They do not demand. They offer. They do not fear loss, because they know their essence cannot be taken. The ocean does not grieve when a wave returns to its depths. It knows the wave was never separate from it. In the same way, when someone exits your life, understand that you both arose from the same source. Nothing real can be lost. You are not your relationship status. You are not the story of who left you. You are not the rejection you experienced. You are the awareness in which all of these experiences occur. And awareness is eternal. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your life as a vast ocean. People are waves that rise and fall. Some waves are magnificent and powerful. Others are gentle and fleeting. But the ocean remains deep, steady, infinite. Be the ocean. Stop identifying with the waves. When you can sit in your own presence and feel content, when silence no longer frightens you, when your joy does not depend on a text message or a validation from another, then you have remembered your divine identity. And from that place, relationships become sacred, not desperate. You begin to ask, not will they stay, but does this connection align with my highest self? You no longer negotiate your peace to avoid being alone. You understand that being alone with peace is infinitely richer than being accompanied by turmoil. Let them go. Not with bitterness, but with blessing. Trust that life is rearranging itself in your favor. Trust that the empty space is not emptiness, but invitation. Invitation to deepen your relationship with yourself. Invitation to create, to explore, to grow, to rest. The ego says, without them you are incomplete. The soul smiles and replies, I was complete before they arrived. There is a sacred dignity in choosing yourself, in saying, I will not abandon myself to keep another. When you abandon your own truth, your own needs, your own boundaries, just to prevent someone from leaving, you create suffering. Not because they left, but because you left yourself. Return. Return to your center. Return to your breath. Return to the knowing that you are an individualized expression of the divine. You are not here to cling. You are here to expand. The more you release, the lighter you become. The lighter you become, the higher you rise. And from that elevation, you see clearly, no one was ever meant to complete you. They were meant to accompany you for as long as your paths aligned. When paths diverge, bless the divergence. Say thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the growth. And then, with courage born of spiritual awareness, step forward alone. For in that aloneness, you will discover something miraculous. You will discover that you are not alone at all. You are held by the same intelligence that beats your heart without your command. You are guided by the same wisdom that orchestrates galaxies. You are loved by a force so vast that no human departure could ever diminish it. Feel that now. Feel the presence within you that has never left. The presence that was there before your first relationship. The presence that will remain after your last. Anchor yourself there. And from that anchor, live freely, love freely, release freely. Let them go. And in doing so, learn the most sacred art of all, to be happy alone. And as you begin to rest in this inner anchoring, something extraordinary happens. You stop negotiating with life. You no longer plead with the universe to rearrange itself according to your preferences. Instead, you align yourself with what is. You begin to see that resistance was never protection, it was tension. It was the ego's attempt to outsmart the wisdom of creation. There is a sacred intelligence moving through every experience you have ever had. It has never once made a mistake. Not in the heartbreak, not in the silence, not in the unanswered calls or the doors that quietly closed. What if those moments were not punishments, but precise redirections? What if the very absence you feared was the clearing necessary for your becoming? The ego is addicted to attachment because attachment creates identity. I am the one who was chosen. I am the one who was left. I am the one who needs. But these are costumes, not truth. Beneath them is a being untouched by circumstance. Beneath them is a consciousness that existed before any name was given to you. When you stop clutching at the forms of life, you begin to experience the formless. And the formless is where peace lives. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast desert at sunrise. There is nothing to grasp. No walls, no distractions, just space, endless space. At first, it may feel intimidating. The mind searches for structure, for something to lean on. But if you stay long enough, if you allow yourself to breathe into that openness, you realize that the space is not empty, it is alive. It is possibility itself. This is what your solitude truly is. It is not a void, it is a field of infinite creation. When you release someone, you are not stepping into nothingness. You are stepping into potential. You are reclaiming the energy that was once tangled in expectation and returning it to its pure state. And in that purity, you rediscover your creative power. The universe responds not to your desperation, but to your alignment. It mirrors your internal state. If you vibrate with fear of abandonment, you will perceive instability everywhere. If you embody wholeness, you will attract experiences that resonate with that wholeness. This is not mystical fantasy, it is spiritual law. You are not here to chase what runs from you. You are here to become so rooted in your own essence that what aligns with you finds you effortlessly. A flower does not pursue the bee, it simply blooms. Bloom, allow your life to unfold without gripping at outcomes. Trust that what belongs in your experience will remain without force, and what must depart will do so regardless of your resistance. Why exhaust yourself trying to control what was never yours to command? There is tremendous strength in allowing. It is not passive. It is not weak. It is a conscious surrender to a higher order. When you surrender, you are not giving up, you are giving over. You are saying, I trust the greater design more than my limited perception. And in that trust, anxiety dissolves. So many people believe that independence means isolation, but spiritual independence is something entirely different. It is the realization that your joy does not require a witness, that your laughter does not need validation, that your worth is not determined by another's recognition. Can you sit in a quiet room and feel fulfilled simply by your own presence? Can you walk through life appreciating your own company? This is not arrogance. It is reverence. Reverence for the divine spark that animates you. The ego whispers, without constant connection, you will disappear. But your true nature cannot vanish. It is not dependent on attention. It is sustained by source itself. There is a freedom that comes when you stop performing for love. When you no longer edit your thoughts, soften your truths, or dim your light to keep someone comfortable. When you release the need to be chosen, you finally choose yourself. And choosing yourself is not selfish, it is sacred. It is an acknowledgement that you are responsible for the energy you bring into this world. If you abandon your authenticity to secure companionship, you fracture your spirit. But when you honor your inner knowing, Even if it means standing alone for a season, you strengthen your alignment. Life is not asking you to cling, it is inviting you to evolve. Every ending is an initiation. Every departure is an invitation to ascend into a new awareness. When someone exits your life, the question is not, why did this happen to me? The deeper question is, who am I becoming because of this? Pain can either close your heart or deepen it. The choice is yours. You can build walls to protect yourself from future loss, or you can expand your capacity to love without possession. Love without possession. This is the art. To care deeply while understanding that nothing in the physical world is permanent. To appreciate fully while knowing that change is inevitable. To give your heart without binding it in chains. When you embody this understanding, relationships become lighter. They become conscious exchanges rather than contracts of fear. You stop measuring security by duration and start measuring it by alignment. And if alignment shifts, you allow the shift. There is something profoundly beautiful about a person who can say, I loved you deeply, and now I release you peacefully. That is spiritual maturity. That is mastery over the ego's impulses. The ego demands certainty. The soul embraces mystery. You are not here to guarantee outcomes. You are here to experience growth. Sometimes growth requires companionship. Sometimes it requires solitude. Both are sacred. Both are teachers. When you learn to be content within yourself, you stop chasing the illusion that someone else holds the key to your fulfillment. You realize that fulfillment is an inside job. It is cultivated through awareness, gratitude, and alignment with your higher self. Gratitude shifts everything. Instead of focusing on who is absent, focus on the presence that remains, the breath in your lungs, the beat of your heart, the quiet resilience that has carried you through every storm so far. You have survived every goodbye you once thought would break you. And here you are, still breathing, still becoming. That is not weakness. That is evidence of your inner strength. There is a luminous core within you that has never been wounded by rejection. It has observed your experiences without being defined by them. When you meditate, when you sit in stillness, when you withdraw from the noise of external validation, you begin to feel this core. It is steady. It is calm. It is untouched. From this place, you understand that nothing real can threaten you. Only illusions can dissolve. And when illusions dissolve, truth stands revealed. The truth is that you are not incomplete. You are not abandoned. You are not behind in life because someone chose a different direction. You are precisely where your soul needs to be. Let life unfold without gripping it. If someone chooses another path, bless their journey. Their departure is not a verdict on your value. It is a reflection of their alignment. And alignment is deeply personal. It cannot be forced. It cannot be negotiated. Release comparison. Release the temptation to question your worth. Worth is inherent. It is not earned through another's commitment. As you deepen into this awareness, you begin to experience a quiet joy. A joy that does not fluctuate with external circumstances. A joy that arises from simply being. Being, not striving, not proving, not seeking. Just being. In that state of being, you become magnetic to life itself. Opportunities emerge. Connections form organically. Creativity awakens. Not because you chased them, but because you aligned with your essence. And if someone new enters your life from this place, it will not be from lack, it will be from overflow. You will share your joy rather than search for it. Until then, cherish this sacred season of self-discovery. Do not rush through it. Do not label it as waiting. You are not waiting. You are becoming. Becoming more aware, more grounded, more aligned. Let others misunderstand your solitude if they must. Let them project their fears onto your independence. You know the truth. You know that your aloneness is not emptiness, it is expansion. And as you expand, you recognize that love was never something to chase. It was something to embody. So embody it. Be gentle with yourself. Speak kindly to your own heart. Celebrate your growth. Honor your resilience. The journey of releasing attachment is not always comfortable, but it is liberating. You are learning to stand without leaning, to love without clinging, to exist without performing. This is freedom. And freedom is the birthright of every soul courageous enough to remember who they truly are. And as this freedom begins to settle into your bones, you start to recognize that what once felt like emptiness was actually spaciousness. There is a profound difference. Emptiness feels like something is missing. Spaciousness feels like something is possible. One contracts your spirit, the other invites it to expand. For so long, perhaps you filled every silence with noise, every ache with distraction, every pause with pursuit. But now you are learning to sit within the pause. You are discovering that silence is not your enemy, it is your teacher. In the quiet, you begin to notice how much of your suffering was born from resistance. Resistance to endings, resistance to change, resistance to the natural rhythm of arrival and departure that governs all of life. The trees do not cling to their leaves when autumn comes. They release them gracefully, trusting that spring will return. Why, then, do we believe we must hold on to every person, every chapter, every version of ourselves? Because the ego fears dissolution. It equates change with annihilation. It whispers, if this ends, you will disappear. But you have ended 1,000 chapters before this one. Childhood ended, seasons ended, friendship shifted, and yet here you stand, still breathing, still conscious, still evolving. You are not the chapter, you are the author. When you begin to see yourself as the awareness behind the experience rather than the victim within it, everything shifts. You stop asking, why was I left? And begin asking, what is life guiding me toward? This is the turning point. This is where pain becomes initiation. There is an ancient understanding that the soul chooses growth over comfort, not because it enjoys struggle, but because expansion requires it. When someone walks away, it often cracks open the parts of you that were asleep. It forces you inward. It compels you to examine the beliefs you held about love, about worthiness, about dependency. And in that examination, you awaken. You begin to see how often you shaped yourself to be acceptable, how frequently you silenced your intuition to avoid conflict, how many times you ignored your own needs to preserve a connection. This is not cause for shame, it is cause for awareness. Awareness is the first act of liberation. When you let them go, you are not only releasing another person, you are releasing the version of yourself who believed she or he needed to be less in order to be loved. That version served its purpose. There is a more authentic you emerging now. A you that understands that love is not proven through sacrifice of self. A you that recognizes that harmony cannot be sustained by suppressing truth. A you that values inner alignment more than external approval. This emergence may feel unfamiliar at first. Growth often does. But stay with it. The discomfort is temporary. The clarity is enduring. As you stand in your own presence without reaching outward for completion, you begin to sense a quiet companionship with life itself. You notice the way the sunlight falls across the floor, the way the wind moves through trees, the subtle rhythm of your own breath. These simple moments, once overlooked, become profound. You are not missing anything. In fact, you are finally present enough to receive what has always been here.